Hi, welcome to the Earth Science Classroom. Welcome back. This is a video all about the different landforms of North America. So it is basically America the Beautiful, looking at different terrains, landscapes, landforms, and it all comes under the term physiography. So the physiography of North America, and as you can see by this diagram, you can see this beautiful, colorful palette all across the continent. So this video is going to look at focusing on North America, obviously, for the divisions and different landforms and landscapes. We'll look at the variety of terrains that we encounter in this beautiful continent, and this can be linked up to, so each division can be linked up to its own geology, its formation, which again can be linked to geology, obviously, the processes that are occurring, which we can link up to geomorphology. There we go. And we can also link up to geologic time. And we can also link up to the elements that create the climate in those areas. All right, guys, join me now. So as a general intro to North America and the physiography, don't forget, physiography is how to represent nature, basically, how we represent these different landforms and landscapes. And various websites, journals, books may have just the USA different divisions. Don't forget, the terrains, landscapes are divided by the main largest one is divisions. You may see it as a region. And then within each division, there will be separate provinces, which are smaller, more detailed, again, based on certain landforms and landscapes. And then within each province, you'll have sections. Now, some provinces have no sections, some have multiple sections, like most divisions have multiple provinces, because as you can see by the map, each color is its own division. So this blue is a division, this large green area is division, the large red area is division, and they're very large, covering, thousands, if not millions, of square kilometers or square miles. So you're going to have to break these down into smaller and smaller, more detailed areas to understand each of the different terrains and landscapes that you encounter. Obviously, down here in Texas, in this area of the green, will be different to this area up here in northern Canada. Likewise, in the Alaskan Aleutian range there will be different to, let's say, Northern California right there. So these do cover a large span of land across North America, but they are of the same division, yet they could have different sections that would relate to each particular location's landform and terrains. Now, some people, organizations, agencies, books may have different numbers of divisions that they divide the country into, but I've used this one from Fenneman in 1915 and then 1957 for any updates, but basically on the section right there. And there, for North America, there were 10 separate divisions. You may see some just for the United States that have, only 5 or 8 or 6, but I use 10 because I feel that is encompassing the whole of the continent rather than just using the lower 48 states. Right, so the first division we'll look at is this nice blue one right here. So this would be the Pacific Mountain System, and as you can see, it really does extend along the entire west coast of America, Canada, and down into the Gulf of California and into Mexico. So what you have is this the border basically along the Pacific Ocean, from the Aleutian Islands all the way through down through British Columbia and Canada, through Washington, Oregon, down to California, and again Mexico. So this is a very long, elongated strip of particular landforms and characteristics, which include different provinces. So they include the Alaska Range, the Coastal Mountains, Fraser Plateau, which are both in Alaska up here, Cascade Mountains, the Coastal Range, the Sierra Nevada Mountain Range, the Central Lowlands, and up here in Washington is the Puget Sound, Willamette Lowlands as well. So you've got a real range of different landforms just in this one province. So it's one division, which is the Pacific Mountain System. Okay, number two is this yellow one right here, and or orangey yellow one, mustard color, and it is the Alaska Yukon region or division. Now, this is a large area. It kind of like covers the most of central Alaska and into parts of Canada and the Yukon territory. And really, it's just a very large drainage basin for the Yukon River, and obviously goes up to the Beaufort Sea, and really is a very desolate, very wilderness division, but high elevation and obviously extreme climates. There are provinces and sections related to or inside this large division, Alaska Yukon, that will be discussed in a different video, just looking at the Alaska Yukon division by itself. Okay, our third division of physiography in North America is the Arctic coastal plain. Now, this is this little thin strip of light blue, and it does cover a lot of these islands in northern Canada, the archipelago, and it basically is very similar to the coastal plains here in yellow in the United States and Mexico. Very similar terrain, very similar topography. However, obviously by the sheer latitude that and the proximity close to the Arctic Circle, it's going to have very extreme cold weather, short summers, long winters, high winds, and it has pretty much covered in the coastline is sea ice, and much of the terrestrial land is or has permafrost nearly all year round. So the fourth division is called intermontane, is this one right here. It's this pink one right here. Now, intermontane is a word that means it's in between or located between mountains. So you have this blue Pacific mountain system to the west, and to the east you have the black coloration, which shows you or highlights the Rocky Mountain division. So it's kind of the in-between section. Now, you do have some mountains, some high elevation areas within this division, intermontane, but generally it's that kind of basin and area between the two mountain ranges. Now, if anyone's been to the West Coast, you know that this area in between the two mountain systems is famous for a lot of different aspects of landforms, geomorphology processes, beautiful different landscapes. It contains three main provinces: the Columbia Plateau, which is to the north, which is mostly volcanic basaltic lava or large igneous province area where between 17 million years ago to 6 million years ago, a lot of lava came out through a hotspot activity, which now is involved with Yellowstone National Park. You have Colorado Plateau, which is around obviously Colorado and the southern part of this division. And then you've got the Basin and Range. The Basin and Range is pretty much the in-between section, in between these two plateaus. And there is a fourth province that some literature does mention, which is the Wyoming Basin, which is again in between the two plateaus, kind kind of like southeast of Yellowstone, so in the more central Wyoming. All right, next is the Rocky Mountain System division. Which is here in the black right there, extends down from British Columbia up here in Canada down to northern central New Mexico, United States. So this is obviously the whole west coast is generally an active plate margin. It's an active boundary with volcanoes and earthquakes and fault lines and fold-in, both in the past and currently. And Rocky Mountains are obviously a very rugged, mountainous terrain, high elevation, formed between 170 to 40 million years ago. Its width ranges from 150 kilometers to 160 kilometers, 650 kilometers in width. So it can be very narrow and very wide. In certain areas, I can see up here, it's kind of narrow up in Canada, but it gets wider up in the northwestern states in America. Obviously, the American Rockies, Canadian Rockies, obviously by definition of the two countries, and looking at very high elevations in Wyoming, Colorado, and British Columbia, and basically acts as a river divide. So to the east is Mississippi and this catchment area, and separates the western rivers that go and flow down south or west towards Pacific or the Gulf of California. So it kind of acts as a massive divide, also affects the climate and weather based on the westerly prevailing winds. And it has four main provinces, which are the southern Rocky Mountains, which is around here in the bottom, okay? The middle, literally it's called middle Rocky Mountains and northern Rocky Mountains. All of these are in USA. And then the Canadian Rockies obviously is in Canada. So that's a large extension north up towards British Columbia. So these have no real sections. They're just basically their own provinces. They're not divided into anything smaller than that. But the southern Rocky Mountains have the highest elevation in mountains, so over 14,000 feet in elevation. Now, our next division in North America is this very large green one, right in the smack in the middle, and that is the interior plains. Now, interior plains covers a very large area. It stretches from basically towards the east coast, just basically west of the Appalachian mountain system, all the way down through into southern Texas and Mexico, all the way up through the center of the United States, up into the middle of Canada and through various provinces in Canada. So this is a very large, diverse area. However, it's similar landforms and similar landscapes allow it to be under the same division. But naturally, geographers, geologists want to break this down into different provinces and sections, and this division has a lot of sections in particular. So there are three main provinces: the interior low plateau, the central lowland, and the Great Plains. And the Great Plains is over in basically here, going all the way up through into Canada. The central lowland is going to be this area right here, kind of comes up here. And then the smaller interior low plateau that's left for this bit right here. So when you combine all three provinces together, you get this huge amount of land, which is famous for farming, agriculture, industrial and arable farming, and very, very fertile soils, which has really allowed this part of the world to become very economically driven through its agriculture, through growing crops. But geologically and in terms of geography, this is a very large, open spot or plot of land that is diverse, but contains a lot of square footage. All right, division number 7 out of 10. We're looking at the Atlantic coastal plain. And it's this yellow one right here. And it extends through Mexico, across, or basically the coastline of the Gulf of Mexico right here, and extends all the way up through Florida, up through the East Coast, up to the Carolinas and Georgia, up into New England, over New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, up into basically Boston, Massachusetts, and obviously extends a very long distance and is a very low relief topography. Obviously, the climate's going to change a lot based on from like southern Texas up to Massachusetts, but you've got that low kind of like low descending kind of elevation down towards the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic Ocean. It is east of the Piedmont region, which is part of the Appalachian Mountain System, and obviously east of the southeast of interior plains, and does have a very wide range of landforms, even though the landscape is pretty similar and topography. But you do get the wetlands and marshlands and the deltas and the embayments, which is the kind of like flooded parts of river valleys, which is like Mississippi Delta, Mississippi River, and obviously it contains a lot of large American cities. It is the flattest and covers over 2,200 miles of the map, basically. All right, covers a large area. So there are 2 provinces in this division, and the one of them basically is submerged under the Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico. It is the continental shelf. That's the land that extends out from the coastline, the beach, under the water, out into the continental shelf, and then the slope. Then next is the coastal plain, which is pretty much encompasses the entire area, terrestrial part of this, and it's you can actually break it down into 2 parts: the inner coastal plain and the outer coastal plain. The outer coastal plain, that is the one that's closest to the shoreline, the coastline, and the water bodies. The inner, obviously, is inland more. The next division, as you can see by this little pink area right here, is the smallest in terms of land area. It is called the Interior Highlands. And this is a uplifted area of higher relief, higher elevation between the Appalachian Mountains and the Rockies, obviously nestled in between the coastal plain division and the interior plains, in between the low interior lowlands right here and the Great Plains to the west. So this has 2 provinces: the Ozark Plateau, which basically is around 1,000 meters elevation. It's basically a low dome, and basically it is limestone, dolomite, and some Precambrian granite underneath. And then they got the Ouachita Mountains, which is basically a series of ridge and valleys showing deformation and folding from east to west. And that pretty much is a bunch of sandstone and shales, and contains some very cool hot springs as well, like Hot Springs National Park. So this one's a small area, but diverse in terms of different plateaus and mountain ranges. And that's the pink one right here. All right, so the 9th division is the Appalachian Mountain System, and that is this lovely orange one right here. It's southeast of the Canadian Shield. It is east of the interior plains, east of the interior highlands, and kind of north or west of the coastal plains, depends where you're looking at it. So west of the Atlantic coastal plain versus the Gulf of Mexico, it's north of that. So this is a second mountain system like the Rocky Mountains or like the Pacific Mountains up there, where East Coast, and this is a classic example. Well, this whole East Coast is a passive margin formed from the breakup of Pangaea, and obviously rifting occurred. Mid-Atlantic spreading zone was there, and as it moved away, it became inactive, but had remnants of volcanism and various folding and orogeny from both formation of Pangaea and before that as well. So these mountain ranges are the same age, which is kind of cool, same age as the Rockies, but based on denudation, weather and erosion, they're a lot smaller and more smoother than the Rocky Mountains. So as this division covers a large area, again, from basically, Georgia down to Tennessee and North Carolina, all the way up into New England, up into Newfoundland, Canada, Quebec, up into that part of the world. So it's a very large area, again, going from north to south, really. And the 5 provinces are the Blue Ridge, the Piedmont, Ridge and Valley, Appalachian Plateau, and the Northern Appalachians. Again, each one has a certain set of different landforms and origins. Ridge and Valley is a bunch of rocks that are resistant or not resistant based on how fast they weather. The Piedmont is a very large area of the slopes going up to the Blue Ridge Mountains, and again, very diverse mixture of both sedimentary basins with igneous and metamorphic mountain ranges and folding, with a cool history of formation. All right, last but not least, the last division in North America is this red one that basically encircles the Hudson Bay up here, covering basically only half of Canada, which is a very large country. Half of it is covered by this, and extends down into the northern states of America around the Great Lakes, and as far east, it goes east to the Atlantic Ocean over here. So this is called the Canadian Shield. It is a very old block of rock. It's Precambrian. Basically, it's between 4.3 billion years old. The oldest rocks in America are found here, actually, east of Quebec, up here. 4.3 billion year old beds, rock beds. And the only place that it outdates it or is older is Western Australia, where there's a 4.4 billion year old zircon crystal found. This is one of the oldest land masses on Earth, and has been stable as this large craton all through geologic history for the past 4.4 billion years. Now, there has been some changes, some glaciation, some orogenies, some rifting, some adding continents, subtracting continents by rifting and divergence and subduction. But generally, this whole area has been very, very stable. And it was the core of North America. The rest, these coastal plains and interior plains and some of the intermontane regions have a lot of sedimentary rock layers, which indicate that there were oceans there in the past, and indicate that this whole landmass wasn't always where it is today. So this large shield extends down into New England and northern states of America, and up into the islands up in the northern Canada, and really are the basis for this whole continent. Lots of glacial activity, a mixture of different rock types, and it has 5 provinces: the Superior Uplands, Laurentian Highlands, the Labrador Highlands, Hudson Platform, and finally the Churchill Highlands. Covers a large area, and again, the basis for North American geology, and obviously where this continent has come from and the changes that happen around it. All right. So as a review, Canadian Shield is right here in the red. The Appalachian Mountain System is here in the orange. We have the interior highlands, which is over here in the purple over there. We have the Atlantic coastal system, which is down here. In the yellow, we have the interior plains, which is over here in green. There we go. We have the Rocky Mountains, which are in black, right there. Intermontane, which is in the pinkish, right here in between the two mountain systems. We have up north, we have the Arctic coastal area or division, which is in the light blue up here. We have the Alaska Yukon division, which is the mustard yellow up here in the top left. And last but not least, we have the Pacific Mountain, which is our blue, extends north and south all on the Pacific coast. So there we have it. There are 10 physiographic divisions in North America. I hope you enjoyed the video, and check the new ones out for each region individually. Thanks.